Everyone, my name is Yicheng and I'm from the University of Reading. My project is funded by LEMONTREE. Today I will talk about my recent work, relationships between resprouting and fire regimes in Europe and Australia. And first, let's have some background information. Wildfire is a natural process and many ecosystems and plant species are adapted to it and depend on it. Over the millennium, plants and trees native to fire-prone regions have evolved a number of adaptations that allow them to persist in these challenging habitats. Previous fire ecology research has reviewed the social agents between specific plant trees and wildfire regimes. Plants in different fire regimes, from fire-free to very frequent fire, may show very different characteristics. An ecosystem's response to a fire will depend on the capacity of the vegetation community to resist the direct effects of fire, termed fire resistance, or recover following a fire via resprouting or sibling recruitment, termed fire resilience. In fire-free ecosystems, it always lacks fuel, or the fuel is strong enough, or it lacks ignition sources. In those regions with infrequent prone wildfires, some resilient countries will occur. Certain is one of those resilient countries. Certain species possess seeds that are only released when a fire occurs. When the regions have relatively frequent surface fires, the species may possess resistant plant trees. Plant species may have thick bark to protect themselves. When the region has very frequent surface fires, plants may have underground meristems, below-ground biomass. We started by looking at the resprouting trees as it has relatively more available data. At the plant level, resprouting is a tolerance trait that confers persistence, allowing individuals to regenerate rapidly following fire. At the community level, this gives rise to biomes that are resilient to severe disturbance, such as pine savanna. It has profound effects on the speed of post-fire ecosystem recovery, and therefore on water and energy exchanges with the atmosphere and the carbon cycle. However, the ability to resprout requires investing in carbon storage. Balancing the benefits of rapid recovery of photosynthesis against the cost of carbon storage implies that resprouting is an optimal behavior in environments where fire is neither too frequent nor too infrequent. Unfortunately, there has been little quantitative investigation of the type of fire regime where resprouting is an optimal strategy. In this study, we are trying to answer two questions. One is, how do fire regime goals influence the incidence of resprouting? And the second one is, can we use a simple model to predict the resprouter abundance? Before looking deep into these two questions, I will briefly introduce the data set we are using. The species abundance data is from the sPlotOpen data set. The sprouting information is from various plant tree data sets, such as tribe, broad, ostriches. We've also done some literature searching and contacted the plant experts to fill the gap of the resprouting information for many species. There is a table showing how many resprouting information we currently have for Europe and Australia. In Australia, we have more than 50% woody species with resprouting information, and in Europe, we have around 40% woody species that have this information. Fire regime goals are derived from 4 data sets. One is from Olivier's fire model based on area data, and the other 3 are from the remote sensing products. One is 561 and 561LT. 561LT is a long-term fire data which lasts for 36 years. The GPP data is from the P model. The land cover data is from the ICCS land cover data sets. We first look at the patterns between fire interval and proportion of resprouters. The box plots using postfire data sets in Australia all show a generally negative relationship, which means when fire interval increase, there will be less cover of resprouters. This is consistent with our assumption that when fire interval is short, the species may adapt to the fire regimes and need to be able to resprout to help survive and reproduce. The patterns are similar in Europe. After looking at the specific patterns between fire properties and resprouter abundance, we investigated the second question: is there a single model to predict the resprouter abundance? After testing the correlations of several possible factors, we finally put 4 variables into a binomial GM model. GPP was included as it can represent the total fuel load. Herb cover can affect the fire spread speed. Log transformations were applied before the GM process to reduce the skewness. The model shows a significant negative relationship between fire interval and proportion of resprouters, which is also clear when using box plots. GPP shows a positive relationship. Herb cover shows a negative relationship, which may suggest that faster fires may reduce the resprouter abundance. The color of the points on the partial residual plots reflects the proportion of woody species cover that we know the resprout information. It shows some dark points, which are plots with low known cover, far away from the fitted line, which indicates that the low proportion of known cover will add the noise of the model. We also tested GIMs using the other 3 fire data, the other 3 remote sensing fire data products, and the relationships are all the same. We can extend these relationships, but the pseudo R-square of all the GIMs are very small, less than 0.1. And currently, improving the predictive power has become a challenge for us. There are 3 aspects of uncertainty that may cause the bad model performance. The first one is the way we derive fire rate interval. The fire rate interval was derived from band area data, and the longest data set we can get is the 5CCI10 lasting 36 years. It is hard to say whether this is something enough to represent the fire rate intervals. The other source of uncertainty may be from the sPlotOpen dataset. As the dataset includes data from fieldwork, literature contents, existing planetary datasets, there are various measurements and transformations of the species cover, but there is insufficient information to quantify this uncertainty. In addition, uncertainty may be from the way we classify the resprouters. 3 sources of bias may need to pay attention to. One is the false positive problem, which means when a species has several records, we assume it is a resprouter if there is one record saying it is a resprouter. The second bias is that people prefer to record resprouter instead of non-resprouter. The last bias, but it's very important one, is caused by the limited number of resprouting information. Although we took a long time to gather the resprout information, it may be still not enough to show the right patterns. From the partial residual plots, it also shows similar cover of species, shows smaller cover of species that have resprouted information will add noise. When we try to reduce the number of those plots, the model performance improved a little bit. Thus, further investigations are still needed. This analysis is the first part of my PhD project. In the future, we will also analyze the consequences of resprouting. For example, how resprouting affects the recovery speed. And the final goal of this project is to develop a theoretical basis for predicting the fire regimes and to develop a single fire model incorporating point controls on trees in fire adapted vegetation. Finally, I would like to say that models for vegetation fire interactions must be informed by insights from fire ecology in order to make more credible future projections in a changing climate. And thank you for your listening. And if you have any questions and comments, please feel free to email me.